The Ibanez AZ series has quickly become a player favourite since its launch. Let's check out 4 brand new models joining the premium line in 2024. For those who aren't aware of the Ibanez AZ, or AZ, however you want to call it, they are a relatively new range of guitars in the Ibanez catalogue, and certainly for me, they seem to be more catered to a more modern and kind of all-rounded player, certainly the type that we've seen emerge certainly within the past few years. Certainly for a lot of players in today's guitar landscape, you need a guitar that can kind of cover a lot of different bases and a lot of different sounds, and certainly that's what the AZ line aims to do. With a ton of different pickup, finish and hardware choices, there's certainly a lot to be getting on with, so let's not waste any more time and dive right into these 4 brand new guitars. As always, we've split this video up into chapters, so if there is a particular model that you do just want to focus on, then check the description just below. And I'll be running all 4 of these guitars through the same rig. I'm going through a Soldano Astro 20, and that's just plugged directly into our interface. I've got a couple of different pedals just coming from my HX Stomp, nothing too crazy, just a delay and a little bit of overdrive just to kind of push the distortion channel a little bit. The first brand new model that I want to talk about is the AZ24P1QM, which of course is a nice and catchy name like all of these guitars. Just before I dive into what exactly goes into these guitars, this is probably a good opportunity to show off the shape of the AZ. Now, it is kind of going for that whole super strat sort of vibe, but certainly when you compare it, say, to the classic Ibanez RG, like this one right here, which we also do have a review of because this is a brand new guitar as well, and you can check that out in the description. But you'll notice between the 2 of these guitars, the RG has got this slightly kind of more pointed horns there, whereas the AZ kind of goes for a bit more of a subtle and a bit more of a rounded shape, certainly on the horns and around the body. So that's one thing to just keep in mind if you are looking into these guitars. So looking into the specs of this particular AZ, it is an American basswood body with a quilted maple top on it. It also has this sick deep ocean blonde finish, which I just think looks absolutely amazing. The AZs have been using a new kind of neck since they launched as well, which is this oval C roasted maple neck. You'll be able to get a look at how nice that looks just there. But when you compare this to what you would expect from, you know, your typical traditional shreddy Ibanez, it's a much deeper and kind of thicker neck as well. Nothing, you know, crazy. We're not talking like 50s Fender or Gibson here, but certainly when you compare it to an RG or something like that, it is a little bit more to grab onto. So again, worth kind of keeping in mind if you're checking one of these out. Personally though, I really like it. I think it just fits in with the aesthetic of this guitar and again, the kind of playing style that it's maybe been developed for. It has 22 jumbo stainless steel frets just on a roasted maple board with this model, and much like the other models that I'm going to chat about as well, they do have glow-in-the-dark side dots there so you can see it on any dark stage or situation, and also has a graph deck nut like all the other models also. Much like the rounder body, the AZ also sports this slightly calmer Ibanez headstock as well. It's not as pointy, again, like the other bodies too. And this is loaded with Gotoh MGT locking tuners also. Rounding at the hardware, it's also got a Gotoh 1502 floating trem there, as well as an HSS setup, which is loaded with a Seymour Duncan Hyperion set. Now I'll touch on the sounds in just a moment, but I just do want to touch on this little feature here, which kind of helps the AZs become so versatile. And this is known as the DYNA-MIX switch. This particular model on the HSS guitar is called a DYNA-MIX 9, and basically what it does is it will allow you to flick it on and off in different positions on your pickup selector there, giving you a completely different tone. I'll just go through what all the pickup sounds sound like with the switch on and off, and I'm just running through the clean channel on the amp at the moment. So starting on the humbucker, which is just our first position on the blade switch there, and with the DYNA-MIX switch off when it's facing to our tone control there, and it's on when it's flicking towards the volume control. So this is it off, it's just straight humbucker. And actually with this mode here, when you flick that on, it won't actually change the sound of the humbucker, meaning that if you are in another position and you have the switch on, you can always kind of rest assured that your humbucker is going to be full blast. Moving on to position 2, this is our half of our humbucker and the middle single coil. And when you flick that on, it is actually splitting the humbucker just for the single coil tone at the bridge. Moving over to the middle position, that is just our middle single coil. And when you flick that on, it actually engages all the pickups in series. Position 4 is our middle and neck pickup. And when you flick it on, it is the neck single as well as the outer side of the humbucker. And finally, position 5 is just our neck single coil. And when you flick it on, it will combine the middle and the neck, essentially giving you a neck humbucker. So certainly tons of options to play with there, and just certainly one little thing I wanted to touch on as well is that this model here has chrome kind of domed master volume, master tone knobs there. A little bit different from the other ones, and certainly it's the little things that matter, isn't it? Moving into slightly heavier territory, or certainly extended territory, this is the other new model here, which is the AZ42P2, sorry, it's actually the AZ427P2QM. Ibanez have not made it easy for me to remember these names today. Kidding on, love you guys. This is the 7-string of this year's lineup, and much like the last model we looked at, this has got an American basswood body with a quilted maple top, and this particular finish is called Twilight Blueburst. Being a 7-string, it does have a slightly different neck shape, and this is known as the A27 Oval C. Very kind of similar to what we were playing previously, but certainly a bit chunkier still compared to Ibanez standards, and even with some other 7-strings as well. It's just got that little bit more kind of grip to it. One of the big standouts, obviously, not just being the addition of the extra string, but this has also got the roasted maple, but has a rosewood board and has actually got 24 stainless steel frets and of course a 7-string trim also. This model is also loaded with a set of 7-string Seymour Duncan Hyperions, but instead of being the HSS configuration like the last guitar, this is an HH configuration. It still has the DYNA-MIX switch, but this one is actually a DYNA-MIX 10 because it will give you some additional kind of different sounds from these pickups, especially with it being that configuration. So let's check those out right now. So position 1 is just our full humbucker in the bridge there. And when you flick the DYNA-MIX switch on, that will activate the power tap setting in the bridge there, which is featured on quite a lot of Ibanez basses actually. But in a nutshell, it essentially provides a bit of a frequency cut. And to my ear, it's a bit kind of off the highs and the mids there. And I mean, hear for yourself here. Here is it off. Position 2, that's going to be the outside coils of each humbucker. And when you flick it on, it is going to be the humbucker in the bridge split. Onto the middle position, that is both pickups in series there. And on, it will activate the power tap setting on both of the pickups here. Position 4 is the outside coil of each humbucker. And when you flick the switch up, it will split the neck humbucker into a single. And on to our final position, that is just the neck humbucker by itself. And when you flick the switch on, that will activate the power tap for the bridge, for the neck, sorry. So I think some guitarists will probably see a 7-string and immediately just think that it's for metal playing, but certainly with the breadth of tones that you can get out of just this one guitar, it's perfect for all those kind of genre-defining and boundary sort of pushing guitar players of today's age. Now, I certainly won't be doing any Tosin Abasi or Tim Henson levels of thumping on this, but if that's your bag, then you're going to be right into this guitar. Now our next model isn't completely new, but certainly this colour variation is brand new, and it's cool to see. Like I mentioned, these are 4 new models that are included in the premium line, which is Ibanez's kind of middle tier made out of Indonesia guitars, which now that you're getting a couple more colour options and all that, it's just cool to see that there's more availability with these kind of guitars. Now this is the Ibanez AZ42P1 and this new colour is Prussian Metallic Blue. And again, much like the other ones, I think this just looks awesome. Spec wise, we're already looking at very, very similar specs to the black model that you can already get in this guitar, but to speedrun our way through this has an American basswood body, the roasted maple oval C neck with 24 jumbo frets on a rosewood board. Hardware wise, we have the same Goto locking tuners and the floating trem there, which this is probably quite a cool opportunity to show you one of the features of the trem there, which not only is it really nice and secure, but you can clip it in and then actually lock it just with that little kind of rotary dial there, or just a little tightener, which just means that you can kind of position it wherever you want. I quite like mine facing away from the body, a la Eric Johnson, but if you need it anywhere else, it's there for you. Pickup wise, we're looking at an HH set of Seymour Duncan Hyperions, so all the sounds with the DYNA-MIX 10, you just remember what the amount of sound you can get out of the one guitar there. You're going to be exactly the same as the 7 string, so let's check them out very, very quickly. So position 1 is our full humbucker there. And then flicking it on will activate the power tap setting. Second position there, we have the outside coils of the pickups. And then when you flick it on, that is just your bridge single. Position 3 is both of our pickups in series. And then when you flick it on, that is the power tap on both pickups. Position 4 is the inside coil of each humbucker, which I meant to say on 2 is actually the outside coil of each pickup. So here is position 4. And then when you flick that on there, that actually just splits to your neck humbucker. And finally, onto position 5 is our neck humbucker. And then flicking the switch up there will activate the power tap for the neck. So comparing this model to the first, certainly the HSS model that I looked at, this seems to be a lot more focused on full humbucker tones, and certainly if it's maybe a bit more catered to kind of getting a little bit more rock out of it. But as demonstrated with the DYNA-MIX switch there, you can get absolute power of sounds out of this. So even if this is the one that you settle on, you can still get all those kind of sparkly single coil tones if you need them. So rounding out this year's model of brand new premium line Ibanez AZ is another kind of colour variation on and or the existing model, and let me just double check to make sure this is right, is the AZ47P1QM, and this is in Dragon Eye Burst. Sorry, I did need to check my script for that one. This colour is a bit more of a fan favourite, and then speedrunning the specs of this, much like the other AZs, we have an American basswood body, quilted maple top here, the oval C roasted maple neck. This time this board is actually ebony. It also has 24 jumbo stainless steel frets, the Goto locking tuners and the floating trim, but this time they are in this kind of snazzier gold hardware. Pickup wise, this guitar goes for a much more straightforward HSH configuration without the DYNA-MIX switch, and it's actually loaded with a bunch of DiMarzio pickups as opposed to the Seymour Duncans that we had in the other ones. In the bridge we have a tone zone, in the middle we have the True Velvet, and then in the neck we have an Air Norton. And the other feature that I do just want to kind of make reference to is actually this guitar has this really nice mother of pearl binding around it as well, so if you do kind of like the flashier look of this, especially with the gold hardware and the binding there, this is one to check out. So with it not having the switch on it, it is a lot easier to get your head around the sounds of this guitar. Traditional 5-way selector, starting just on our bridge there, this is the tone zone. Moving over to the next one is the tone zone and the True Velvet together. Position 3 is just the True Velvet by itself. Position 4 is the True Velvet and the Air Norton together. And finally, position 5 is just the Air Norton by itself. So that about covers it for the brand new AZ models that are joining the 2024 lineup for Ibanez. Now, we have actually done a couple of other reviews of some of these guitars that have just launched. You can check them out just in the description below. And while you're there, why don't you give us a like, give us a subscribe if you've liked the video at all. And hey, leave us a comment to let me know if you're going to check out any of these guitars when they start landing in the shops. But until then, I've been Keiran, and this has been the brand new 2024 lineup of Ibanez AZ models. Have a great day.